Beneath a large pyramid in Xi'an, China, lies the biggest chamber in the world, one that no one has ever dared to open. A vast subterranean tomb said to contain rivers and seas of liquid mercury flowing around it, and numerous traps and mechanisms that could kill anyone who dares to enter it.
Within the pyramid is a lake of mercury, that there are mechanical devices in there which will fire arrows at you if you go in. That there's a whole story about how intensely protected it is, and up to this day it's not been excavated.
The place is believed to be the final resting ground of China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, the man who unified the country, built the Great Wall's first stretches, and commissioned the mysterious Terracotta army to guard him in the afterlife. Ancient texts describe the tomb as an exact miniature of his empire, with mountains made of bronze, constellations of precious stones glowing on the ceiling, and Mercury simulating the waters of the earth. Scientists today have confirmed unnaturally high concentrations of mercury in the soil above the tomb, proving that the ancient legends may indeed be rooted in a terrifying truth. This raises the question of how ancient builders managed to handle such vast quantities of mercury without poisoning themselves. Modern science recognizes mercury vapor as extremely toxic, requiring advanced ventilation, containment, and protective equipment. If these workers survived prolonged exposure, it suggests the ancients either possessed methods of safety and air purification unknown to us, or knowledge about the substance that has since been lost. The idea that a river of poisonous metal still flows in an underground complex built over 2,000 years ago has kept archaeologists at bay for decades. While the nearby pits filled with thousands of terracotta soldiers have been carefully excavated, the central burial mound of the emperor himself has been left untouched, sealed off like a time capsule from another world.
The tomb actually covers a very large area. Only a few areas surrounding the border part of the tomb complex have been excavated.
Chinese authorities fear that opening it could destroy invaluable relics instantly due to exposure to air, light, or bacteria. But there is also another reason, a fear that the complex hides mechanisms so advanced and dangerous that disturbing them could be catastrophic. When Qin Shi Huang died in 210 BCE, his court officials went to extreme lengths to ensure that his journey into immortality would mirror the grandeur of his rule. Historical records from the ancient historian Sima Qian describe how artisans and engineers built an entire underground kingdom beneath the earth, complete with palaces, towers, and mechanical traps designed to kill intruders. The entire burial complex, covering roughly 55 square kilometers, about 21 square miles, was designed to mirror the empire's capital city of the time, Xianyang. It was surrounded by two massive walls, an inner and an outer enclosure, each rising 10 meters, 33 feet, high. With a total of 10 monumental gates, the inner perimeter stretched about 2.5 kilometers, while the outer wall extended nearly 6.5 kilometers, 4 miles, in length. The emperor's actual mausoleum is believed to lie in the southwestern section of the inner city, where a vast sarcophagus chamber, measuring approximately 50 by 80 meters, 160 by 260 feet, occupies the central space of a specially constructed subterranean hall. According to Sima Qian's ancient account, the bronze sarcophagus rests deep beneath the ground, under 3 layers of groundwater, and was ingeniously equipped with drainage systems to prevent flooding. Rising above the chamber is a towering burial mound about 60 meters, 200 feet high, with a base roughly 350 meters, 1,150 feet on each side. Its top form resembles a truncated pyramid, which may once have stood twice as tall before erosion softened its shape over the centuries. From Sima Qian's vivid description, it becomes clear why the tomb was designed to be nearly impossible to reach. Inside, the emperor's sepulchre was said to contain palaces, grand pavilions, and chambers filled with rare artifacts and treasures from across the empire. Artificial rivers and lakes of mercury flowed through miniature landscapes, all set beneath a ceiling decorated with stars and planets arranged in their celestial positions. The heavens above were represented with jewels and gemstones embedded into the roof, designed to shimmer and reflect their brilliance. To illuminate this eternal night, lamps were placed throughout the tomb, said to burn with a special oil, most likely whale oil, that could produce light for an astonishingly long time, keeping the emperor's underground world forever aglow. Crossbows were said to be set to fire automatically at anyone who dared to enter. The emperor's tomb was sealed so perfectly that many believe it remains exactly as it was on the day it was closed, its mechanism still primed, its air still toxic, its secrets still alive. Ground-penetrating radar scans and geophysical surveys have revealed massive chambers beneath the mound, suggesting that the scale of this subterranean palace dwarfs anything known from the ancient world. Yet no one truly knows what lies inside the central chamber, because not a single shovel has pierced its heart. Even China's most daring archaeologists have declared that the site should remain sealed until technology can guarantee the preservation of whatever lies within. Historians often describe Qin Shi Huang as both a visionary and a tyrant. He unified China's language, currency, and measurement systems, built monumental roads, and established the foundations of an empire that would last for over 2,000 years. Yet his reign was also marked by cruelty, paranoia, and an obsession with immortality that drove him to the edge of madness. The emperor's obsession with immortality is one of history's darkest ironies. In his relentless search for eternal life, he consumed concoctions made from mercury, believing it would make him divine. Instead, it killed him. That same substance, deadly and shimmering, is said to fill the rivers and seas of his tomb, perhaps even pumped by ancient hydraulic systems that mimicked the world above. The legend suggests that Qin Shi Huang's architects created an artificial heaven and earth where his soul could rule forever. Modern scientists have measured mercury levels in the surrounding soil that are up to 100 times higher than normal background readings. These readings align perfectly with Sima Qian's descriptions written over 2 millennia ago, lending eerie credibility to his words. Sima Qian, in his Records of the Grand Historian, Shiji, wrote the following passage about the tomb of Qin Shi Huang. Palaces and scenic towers for 100 officials were constructed, and the tomb was filled with rare artifacts and wonderful treasure. Craftsmen were ordered to make crossbows and arrows primed to shoot at anyone who enters the tomb. Mercury was used to fashion the 100 rivers, the Yellow River and the Yangtze, and the seas, set to flow mechanically. Above were represented the heavenly bodies, below the features of the earth. The concentrations of mercury are highest directly above the burial mound, forming patterns that really look like winding rivers and lakes. Some researchers believe this indicates that actual channels of mercury still exist underground, possibly preserved in a sealed vacuum that has not been breached since 210 BCE. To imagine the interior of the tomb is to enter the mind of a ruler who considered himself a god. Bronze birds and mechanical fish supposedly floated through the mercury rivers, animated by clever engineering that defies the understanding of their time. The emperor's body may rest inside a jade sarcophagus surrounded by treasures, weapons, and the bones of those who built the tomb and were sealed inside to ensure silence forever. The fear of opening the tomb is not superstition alone. Previous excavations in the Terracotta army complex have shown how quickly ancient pigments, fabrics, and even metallic compounds deteriorate when exposed to oxygen and moisture. When archaeologists first uncovered the painted warriors, their brilliant colors vanished within minutes of exposure to air. To unseal the emperor's tomb without perfect preservation technology would mean instant loss of artifacts that have survived untouched for over 2,000 years. The tomb may contain scrolls, fabrics, wooden structures, and delicate mechanisms that would disintegrate the moment light enters. Beyond the technical reasons, there is also a cultural and psychological weight surrounding the tomb. In Chinese tradition, disturbing the resting place of ancestors, especially one as significant as the first emperor, is considered an act of profound disrespect that could bring misfortune. The site is both a national treasure and a sacred warning. Some archaeologists have admitted that they feel a strange unease even standing near the mound, as if the place exudes an energy of protection or curse. Local legends speak of those who tried to penetrate too deeply into the sealed areas, falling ill or facing accidents soon after. There are also rumors of ancient traps that might still function. Engineers studying the writings believe such traps could still be active, preserved in the sealed, airless environment. If archaeologists were to break into the tomb carelessly, they could trigger these defenses or release toxic mercury vapors, risking their lives and the artifact's survival. The tomb was discovered in 1974 by farmers digging a well, who instead unearthed fragments of the Terracotta army. What followed was one of the greatest archaeological revelations of the 20th century. Thousands of life-size soldiers, horses, and chariots, each sculpted with unique features and expressions, standing guard in underground corridors. Every warrior faces east, toward the direction from which enemies once came, as if eternally protecting their ruler. The craftsmanship is so precise that even the soldiers' fingerprints are visible in the clay, each one unique. They are only the surface layer of a far deeper mystery, the guardians of a realm that has never been seen by modern eyes. But as more and more pits were uncovered, the realization dawned that these were merely the outer defenses of something far larger and far stranger. The emperor's actual burial chamber lies beneath an untouched mound nearby, sealed in mystery. Since then, teams from China and abroad have deployed advanced tools, magnetometers, seismic detectors, and even drones to map the subsurface of the site. These surveys revealed symmetrical chambers, sloping corridors, and what appear to be underground water channels consistent with ancient descriptions. But the findings have raised more questions than answers. Some scientists believe the Mercury rivers could have corroded or leaked, creating deadly pockets of toxic gas, while others argue that the sealed environment may have perfectly preserved the scene as it was 2,000 years ago. One of the most astonishing details in Sima Qian's account is the description of the miniature universe built underground. He wrote that the tomb was constructed with the same geographical layout as the empire, mountains, plains, and rivers, each meticulously recreated. This suggests that Qin Shi Huang envisioned ruling over a symbolic world within his tomb, as if to carry his dominion into eternity. The emperor's paranoia and grandiosity fused into a project so immense that it consumed the lives of countless workers and nearly bankrupted the empire he had created. As the tomb neared completion, those who knew its secrets were reportedly trapped inside to die. This ensured that no one could ever reveal its contents or its entrances. Legends claim that Mercury was poured into the sealed gates to make them impenetrable, a deterrent to grave robbers and a symbolic continuation of the emperor's control. Over time, the stories became myth, yet modern readings of the soil prove that something strange indeed sleeps beneath. Even without excavation, scientists can sense the tomb's complexity through indirect measurements. Ground-penetrating radar has revealed rectangular patterns suggesting immense halls and walls within walls. Electrical resistivity imaging has shown anomalies consistent with metal concentrations, possibly the bronze and gold objects described in ancient texts. Some experts have proposed inserting fiber optic cameras through microtunnels, but the Chinese authorities have refused, fearing that even the smallest puncture could disturb the internal equilibrium and cause irreversible damage. Beyond the scientific wonder, there is a haunting human element in this story. Thousands of craftsmen, laborers, and slaves spent decades underground, creating an empire beneath the earth for a man who feared death more than any enemy. The same emperor who burned books and buried scholars alive in his quest to control thought sought to command eternity itself. In doing so, he left behind a riddle of human ambition and hubris that has outlasted every dynasty. Modern archaeologists face an ethical dilemma. Do they wait for technology that may preserve the tomb's contents perfectly, or risk irreversible destruction by opening it now? Many have compared it to Tutankhamun's tomb multiplied 1,000-fold in scale and danger. The Chinese government has declared a strict policy of preservation first, excavation second, effectively freezing all direct exploration for the foreseeable future. This policy has frustrated some researchers, but few dispute the reasoning given the fragile nature of the site. Speculation continues that the tomb may contain not only treasures but ancient technologies unknown to us. Some researchers have pointed to the sophisticated engineering of the Terracotta army's weapons, which were coated in chromium to prevent rusting, an innovation thought to be invented in the West only in modern times. If such knowledge existed in the emperor's court, it raises the question of what other technologies might have been buried with him. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang is only one piece of a far larger mystery buried beneath the plains of Shaanxi, the so-called Chinese pyramids. The Chinese pyramids, concealed for centuries, remain relatively unknown globally, including within China. These ancient structures dot China's central plains and deserts, predominantly in Shaanxi province. Yet the Chinese Communist government has imposed strict prohibitions on excavating and even visiting these ancient edifices. The local farmers living near the pyramids are encouraged to plant trees on the pyramids to conceal them. With over 200 pyramids discovered, their true purpose and origin remain a complete mystery, obscured not only by physical barriers, but also by governmental restrictions. The first recorded mention of these pyramids in the West dates back to 1912, when travel agent Fred Meyer Schroeder reported their existence, noting that there are massive pyramids there. However, it wasn't until the mid-20th century that these structures gained significant attention. During World War II, American pilot James Gaussman flew over the area and captured photographs of these structures. But it wasn't until the advent of satellite imagery that we were able to understand the true scale and number of these Chinese pyramids. Similar to pyramids elsewhere in the globe, the Chinese pyramids are precisely oriented, with their corners perfectly aligned to Earth's cardinal directions. In terms of astronomy, they are slightly misaligned from the Gemini constellation, aligning almost exactly during the spring equinox several millennia ago. This slight deviation of 14 degrees can be explained by the axial precession of the Earth, a phenomenon where the planet's axis slowly wobbles, completing a full cycle approximately every 25,700 years. This means that these pyramids could be tens of thousands of years old. Another incredible similarity and cosmic alignment can be found when you compare the layout of the pyramid complex of Teotihuacan in Mexico with the Giza complex in Egypt and with the Xi'an pyramid complex in China. All three sites are structured in almost the exact same way and mirror the Orion constellation. How is this possible, considering all three of them are on different continents, separated by thousands of miles? Moreover, all three pyramid complexes are aligned in a near straight line, having the same orientation. Was this just a coincidence, or is there more to the story? The remarkable presence of Chinese pyramids, particularly the colossal Great White Pyramid located in the valley of Shaanxi Province, is considered by many the largest pyramid in the world. It's twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza, with a height of around 1,000 feet or 300 meters. This means that the construction of this gigantic pyramid would require no less than 50 million tons of stone. The mystery surrounding the Chinese pyramids extends far back in history, with documented references to these structures dating back to the early 17th century. Notably, a Roman Jesuit whose observations have been preserved in various historical accounts penned some of the earliest Western descriptions of these remarkable constructions. However, it was Joseph de Guignes, a renowned French Orientalist and sinologist in the 18th century, who significantly contributed to the discourse with his provocative theory. In his 1785 publication, an essay in which we prove the Chinese are an Egyptian colony, de Guignes posited a direct connection between the Chinese and ancient Egyptians, largely based on the presence of pyramid-like structures in China, along with certain cultural and linguistic similarities, indicating a possible historical link between the two civilizations. But the architectural features of these structures do not resemble just the pyramids in Egypt, but those in South America. There's an interesting site known as the Guanlin Temple, located near Luoyang in the Henan province. This site is steeped in history and reverence, primarily known as the Tomb and Memorial Complex for Guan Yu, a famous general in Chinese folklore and history. While the temple serves as a commemorative site, its architectural features and the age of some structures within the complex suggest a much older origin, potentially predating the commonly accepted historical timelines associated with the temple. Many believe the ancient Chinese used this structure as a tomb, the same way as the ancient Egyptians used various ancient sites in Egypt, although they were not their true architects, as these sites were way too advanced for their bronze tools and knowledge. The tomb of the general, located in Jian Jilin province in China, is part of the Goguryeo tombs complex. This pyramid structure was most likely thousands of years older than the Goguryeo kingdom, which used the pyramid as a tomb, although they didn't construct it. The pyramid shape of the tomb of the general represents a unique architectural style in East Asia, distinct from the more rounded burial mounds commonly found in other parts of China and Korea. Curiously, this pyramid has a broad base that narrows towards the top, very similar to the Mesoamerican pyramids built by civilizations like the Aztecs and Mayans. The similarities are intriguing from a comparative perspective because their builders were believed to have developed independently on the opposite sides of the world. These similarities are not just superficial. They extend to the engineering techniques, the orientation and alignment with astronomical events, and the multi-tiered design that is characteristic of many pyramid structures around the world. The idea that such architectural and engineering concepts could span across continents and cultures suggests a potential exchange of knowledge or a common architectural lineage that has yet to be fully understood. Curiously, all across the world, there are ancient stories about mythical figures that visited our ancestors and gave them advanced knowledge and technology, kickstarting their civilization. In Mesopotamian mythology, the Apkallu were 7 sages sent by the god Enki to teach humanity various arts of civilization, including writing, law, temple building, and agriculture. In Mesoamerican cultures, particularly among the Aztecs and Toltecs, there's Quetzalcoatl, a provider of agricultural knowledge who taught the ancient people the use of metalwork, the calendar, and the cultivation of maize. In Egyptian mythology, there was Thoth, a deity who gave the Egyptians writing in the form of hieroglyphics, together with various other advanced knowledge, boosting their civilization significantly. Many researchers, like Graham Hancock, believe these beings were survivors of an ancient cataclysm that destroyed the advanced civilization that constructed all of these massive megalithic monuments across the globe. These survivors then spread across the world and gave knowledge to the primitive hunter-gatherer societies. Interestingly, in Chinese mythology, we can find a similar figure. The Yellow Emperor, Wang Di, is a mythic figure in Chinese history that is often regarded as the progenitor of Chinese civilization. His contributions to the fabric of Chinese culture are immense, ranging from the creation of traditional Chinese medicine, including acupuncture, to the introduction of wooden houses, the bow and arrow, bronze coins, and a written language. The knowledge and technologies he gave to the ancient people were so immense that he became known as the founder of Chinese civilization. Comparing the Yellow Emperor with other civilizational bringers all across the world, one can discern a pattern where these figures are often credited with introducing critical advancements to society. All of this would essentially mean that the advanced megastructures found all across China were the works of a far more ancient civilization, a civilization lost to time and missing from our history books. Long before recorded history, there were advanced ancient civilizations capable of building gigantic megalithic structures we can't build today, lifting enormous stone blocks weighing thousands of tons and stacking them with laser-like precision. Blocks we still struggle to lift even with our modern cranes. They crafted mathematically precise, flawless monuments from the hardest stone on Earth, leaving us to wonder who these builders were and how they accomplished the impossible. Were they merely primitive societies, or were they masters of a forgotten technology lost to the sands of time? Uncover the evidence of an ancient, global, and technologically sophisticated civilization that once ruled over our planet, constructing gigantic sites the ruins of which are still standing, before a cataclysmic event erased it from memory. Access our eBook, Prehistoric Megastructures, a nearly 500-page volume packed with images and in-depth analysis of some of the most astonishing and unexplained ancient structures ever discovered, monuments that were clearly built with advanced technology from a time long forgotten. There's a limited discount on the ebook, so make sure to get yours before it's too late.